I don't know. Is it?
It says recording started by Rachel. By attending this meeting, you consent to being recorded.
You do consent. It's been a long time since we've done this, so maybe we've forgotten how, but I think we're doing it correctly.
Are we?
I hope so. Well, when have we ever done anything correctly?
Yeah, we usually end up putting it together and then finding out there was a better way in the aftermath.
Always. That's what we do. Jake.
The best laid plans.
Jake, it has been 8 billion years since we've last done an episode.
8? I thought it was 9.
9 billion years since we have last done an episode, and believe it or not, we're still doing this shit.
Yeah, we haven't necessarily given up. And there's apology to the fans for, not kicking an episode out sooner. So
I was thinking earlier as I was mowing the lawn, what the fuck has taken so long? Because it wasn't just the game, and I was just mentally going through the laundry list of shit that I've done since the last episode, and it's like, I started dating again, seriously. I've dated, like, more than half a dozen different people. I've started being polyamorous. I got kicked out of the house. I got served a divorce. I am in the process of a divorce, and it's not all negative. That sounds really negative, like the divorce stuff. Like, it's all stuff that we knew was coming. It just got surprised by how soon it was. And I only temporarily got kicked out of the house for a night. We just had a kerfluffle.
Right. Yep.
And like my life is in a very different place from when we last recorded, and I'm like moving to a new place in 3 weeks, almost exactly. Like, my life is insane. And throughout most of that time, I have been playing Final Fantasy games as like what little free time I've had. I've been playing Final Fantasy. I was playing Final Fantasy Crisis Core Reunion. Finally, I got around to that's like the remake remaster. It's somewhere in between because it's more than a remaster because they tweaked the gameplay a little bit, and they redid the graphics. But it's not a full-on remake because they reused a lot of assets.
Okay.
So, like, it's more than a remake, or it's more than a remaster, but not a remake. It's like an upgraded remaster to some degree. Either way, I was playing that up until when Final Fantasy VII Rebirth came out, and I have been playing that whenever I have time. I'm at like 120 hours. I'm right at the part where you're approaching the what is it, like Are you making fun of my tism, my friend?
Yes, I am. If your friends can't make fun of those, then who can?
Then who can, right? I don't know. I think it's like the Forgotten Capital, the Forgotten City, the City of the Ancients, that place.
The City of the Ancients, okay.
The
Temple of the Ancients yet. You're at the City of the Ancients.
The part when spoilers, when Aerith runs away.
Yes.
Yeah, that little bit. So that's where I'm approaching in the game now. I'm very close to the end. It's basically the last like notable part of the game. So it's really good.
That's where the game is going to end, is at that particular moment.
Yes, right after that.
Fucking cliffhangers.
Right? Yeah. You want me to, if you don't mind, can I talk about Rebirth a little, like Rebirth just a smidge?
Without spoiling it.
I can. In the sense that Final Fantasy Remake, 7 Remake, I feel like introduced a lot of potential hooks to really throw the player for a loop. And as the story progressed, like, it kind of set up this concept of change and breaking fate and stuff like that.
Okay.
And there is a lot of differences and new content and new story beats and shit like that in Rebirth. However, the main story path is still identical to what it was before, in the sense that, like, the plot, like the story is different, but the plot is the same, if that makes sense. The broader,
not really, but okay.
story is the individual moments, the moment-to-moment stuff.
Okay.
The plot is the overarching, like, what is the overarching thing? What is happening in the overall scheme of things?
What's the driving
Yes. Why are people doing what they're doing?
the driving force behind it all? Okay.
Yes. What are the key highlight points? The plot is like the bullet points.
Sure. Okay, like a summary.
Yeah, and it's still very much kind of adhering to the core backbone of plot. That is Final Fantasy VII, which I was not expecting. I was expecting a lot more swerves, kind of, because for all that talk of defying fate and breaking the chains that bind them at the end of Remake. They're sure doing a whole lot of following the same fucking path. Like,
You're right.
Things are going where they're like the trajectory that things are going is gonna lead them to the same place. So there's not a whole lot of breaking the chains of fate. But anything can happen in the third game, and anything can happen at the end, because I don't even really know what happens in the end. So I'll find out. Yeah. Also, what else? I have a new job. And the new job is pretty cool.
Congratulations.
And yesterday I had a new first. It's a double first for me.
Okay.
What may be surprising to some people is that I have never been to Pride before. Pride, as in the queer celebration that certain cities, the big Pride celebration. I've never actually been in the past. It was something that I was either too closeted or I was not out enough to do before. And I think last year I was too scared to do it alone, and this year I didn't have to do it alone. I got invited to go with a friend of mine, the girl that I'm actually moving in with. I went with her, and we happened to know somebody who was a grand marshal for the parade. What is a grand marshal? We don't know. It's just somebody of importance who's being celebrated.
Well, usually, they're the focal point of the parade itself. They are kind of the celebratory figure.
Yes, I think there were 6 of them.
Really? Usually there's only one, but okay.
Well, there were 6. This was the new Faces of Pride celebration this weekend. The main Houston Pride is next weekend. This weekend was the new Faces of Pride event. So there were 6 people being celebrated. We were friends with one of them, and we got there, and she was like, "Hey, I need 15 people to walk with me. Do you guys want to walk? I don't have the 15 people. Do you want to walk?" And so we were like, "Fuck yeah." So I ended up not only going there to for the first time, but I was actively in the fucking parade.
Nice.
Yeah. And being in a parade in a city is very different than being in a parade in a small town, I learned.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah. A little more intimidating.
Oh yeah, lots of people. And it's not even as much as that are at the main Pride parade. I was told. So, and to me it was a ton of people. So I was just like, fuck. Either way, it was really fun, and I walked a ton yesterday to the point that I'm still exhausted. I'm so fucking tired, but it was fun, and it was a really good time.
Good for you. Yeah. I'm glad you had some good times.
I did. It was a really good time.
Huh.
And Jacob, that is basically the what the hell I've been up to since the last episode. What the fuck have you been doing?
Well, let's see. It's hard to really think back that far, to be honest.
You've gone on a couple little vacations.
Well, one wasn't really a vacation, but let's see, like in January, there wasn't a whole lot. We were actually on the downward slide of things as far as calming down from the holidays. So, but I mean, I had my typical conference. The girlfriend had her birthday, so we sort of celebrated that a little bit, and then I had my spring conference that I went to, and that was fine and dandy. I probably wasn't really worth going, but it gets you out of the office.
Of course.
And then had some projects that were end user facing, so they were really, a lot of attention was focused on them.
As
And
somebody who is now dating somebody who does IT, I
mhm,
definitely have more insight into how frequently that IT work can spill out of the regular 9 to 5 hours.
yes, it's like I so I did a lot of that like within the first couple of years, and the intent was to get that settled and put in place without having to do a lot of out of the like beyond the typical hours work. So, but yeah, and the other side of the coin now is I actually go in to work a couple of hours early. I work 4 9 hour days and then one half day. So, um, to still get my 40. But the whole point is that because I needed to get in there before everybody else did, just in case something hit the fan or something didn't work right in the morning,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and then I could take care of it real. If it's something real easy and quick, I can get on that before everybody gets in and not be bothered. So, um, so that was the whole point of being in there a couple of hours earlier than everybody else. So just in case something like that happens, and it's been working very well to an extent. That half day does get to be a little bit um, because they still have production hours going during that half day.
Yeah.
So I still gotta answer the phone. So I can't really go out and like go to Omaha or go to do some some other stuff. But I can like piddle around at home or get my car an oil change or something along those lines, just to um, have some time outside of the office. Otherwise it would have been it's a 50-hour week or pretty close to it. So
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what came into play yesterday when we were before we went to Pride. We couldn't leave as early as we wanted to because she got surprised with new like work, like what was it? There was like some installs and stuff like that
yep,
that got dropped on her.
yep,
That like we need to get these
equipment,
done this weekend, and then
yep,
she was just like, "What the fuck? Are you
yeah,
kidding? Like, can you give me a timetable when we're gonna start doing this? Because I have things like I need to be here by this time." And
right,
they were like, her boss was very unclear about it, and there was a lot of piddling around before they could even get started. It was
yeah,
it was a very frustrating thing to oversee.
yeah, and like the only difference between me and her is I'm a one-man shop, so I get to decide
Yeah,
whatever I want to do and how I want to do it and when I want to do it. And
she's on like
mm,
a 3-person team,
yep, probably
and
with one lead or one manager, and
there's a
yeah,
manager, yeah, and
hmm
they kind of report to them for a
yep,
bunch of shit.
and yeah, I mean, there's just that. It just depends on what type of manager you're working with in that in IT is what
Oh
it
yeah,
comes down to in that scenario. Because I would never do that to my
recording.
folks. That's just wrong. So, um, but yeah, I don't agree with just like arbitrarily dropping something on someone. Now, if we get equipment in, I'm not going to do it like the next immediate weekend, but we may
Hmm.
do it like the following weekend, or I might try to coordinate with folks if I need the manpower, you know.
Yeah,
But I wouldn't necessarily. It wouldn't be like we're doing this weekend. I don't care what you do, what you have going on. That's a massive fuck you. So
it is. They get well,
and
like she gets things dropped on her somewhat regularly, like last minute when it comes to that sort of stuff,
yeah,
from what I can tell.
and what the manager doesn't understand in that scenario, in my opinion, is that that's how you get people burned out. They don't want to come to work, and then when they don't come or they decide to go somewhere else, you're fucked. Okay, so you got to find someone new, and then you got to, and it always takes at least 6 months to a year to get an IT guy trained. Okay,
Oh
it's
yeah, yeah.
it's not like it's not like like an office clerk or something along those lines where they can kind of pick up the motions within the first month or two. No, there's 6 months at least. Every job that I've done has always been like I don't start getting comfortable in it until at least 6 months in, usually longer. And that's just because there's so much stuff that you got to be accountable. You got to know the motions. You got to understand how the company operates. Um, there's a lot of working parts to it, and people don't understand that. And yeah, so yeah, I feel for her in that sense, because there's some things that's just not right. They shouldn't be just dropped on you. I mean, yeah, you have your tickets, and yes, you have to take care of them, or take care of that, your tickets. But to just arbitrarily say we're doing this now, that's a fuck you.
A little bit is a little bit.
And that's just a lack of respect, in my opinion, as far as, because with IT, you can get burned out and you can get overloaded. Okay. And
oh yeah, 1,000%.
yeah,
I've seen it happen.
Yeah. And you have to give your folks time away from work. Okay. If you don't do that, you will be replacing people quite frequently. Okay. Your turnover is going to go through the roof. Okay. Especially for stupid shit like that. Okay. It's one thing. If it's one thing, if a system breaks and you got to fix it. Okay. Yes. Then it's all hands on deck, and you got to, you work together and get it done. But if you've got equipment coming in, or something's like getting pushed towards your way that in advance, and if you tell me that if you're getting a lot of break fix issues, you're not planning properly.
This was just like a bunch of fresh, clean installs of a bunch of like new updated software and stuff like that. And it was like, none of this seems important.
Yeah, well, it's important. Okay, don't get me wrong, it's important, but you can schedule that. Okay, there is no reason to be, ramrodding something in over the weekend. Okay, that's just horse shit. That's not fair to the company, and that's not fair to the individual, because I'm guessing that she got overtime for that, right? She should have.
I would assume so. I don't know if they're salaried or not.
Right. Well, typically, typically IT folks are not salaried. Okay. Unless you're a manager or a supervisor. Okay. You have that in your title, manager or supervisor. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Even as a lead.
I didn't know I was going to send you on a tear about IT, and it's kind of awesome. Kind of rad.
Yeah, well, it's just there's so many things. I've worked for so many managers, and some of them are really good and understand a little bit, and others they don't, and they just don't have perspective on it, or they'll claim that that's just the nature of the beast, and it's not. And one of the things I'm really, really anxious for is to actually get someone underneath me myself.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not going to do these things. Okay, there's going to be, I'm not going to hang them out to dry like that. They're going to know in advance. Okay, this weekend we're installing this system, or I'm going to need you to install these machines today. Okay, and if you don't get done, you don't get done. Okay, it's not the end of the world. Okay,
you're going to be more respectful of time.
Yes, and it's. Because I've been in those situations. We got to get it done now, and it's 9 times out of 10 it's horse shit. Okay?
You know what?
9 times out of 10, and there's that 1/10 where yes, it actually does matter because the company is down. So, but anyways, yeah.
I was trying to set up a segue with my time joke pun thing.
And I just blew it to smithereens, right?
You did. You just kept going because I was going to be like, you know what else involves a lot of time, right, Jake?
Anyways, well, you didn't, and I didn't get over.
Once again, I tried to get us on track.
Well, yeah, I was explaining the last 6 months too. I hadn't done that. And,
yeah.
At the conference and everything, and that project. And then I had that funeral in April, so I had to go down to Atlanta.
Oh, yeah.
So I was down there for a couple of days, and then I prepared for the trip that was in June. And I didn't...
The trip to Florida.
Yep, that was down there for a week. And then I went back down to Des Moines for the summer conference. And then I went to Wisconsin for my godson's birthday, like I do every year. I just got back from that today. So, and in between all of this, in between all the whole grand scheme of things, I'm going just about, not quite, every other week to Sioux Falls. So.
Yeah, to see your girlfriend, which
Yeah.
Congratulations on that. You've made it over a year.
Yep, over a year now, so I'm pretty happy about that. Still going pretty strong. We didn't kill each other on the trip, which was a positive.
Yeah, you found somebody who can put up with you that much. That's pretty impressive.
Well, and I mean, it's been a busy 6 months.
It has been. It has been a wild 6 months.
And I frankly am like, I want to get back to a little bit more even flow, a little bit more of a rhythm, so that I'm not just like, because I've been to Florida and Wisconsin, and upper Wisconsin, not like Madison or southern Wisconsin. No, this was up in the northeast portion of Wisconsin, excuse me, northwest, and that's all been done in like just a couple of weeks. So it needs to calm down.
Your life definitely needs to calm down.
Yeah, it's been way too busy. Well, yours too, man. So.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah. So, anyways, so yes,
When we're not living our lives, our very busy lives, we are also playing Chrono Trigger.
Yes, we're playing Chrono Trigger.
I was building that up, and then I just said it so exasperated, and I did not mean it that way, because this game is excellent. It's so good.
Mm-hmm. I've enjoyed it.
But before we get into talking about Chrono Trigger,
well, okay. Well, what else do you have in mind?
we have to say that we are damn Chocobo. Also that.
Well, and we just ended with the prophet throwing us out, right? I think that was where it was at.
Yeah, we had we got caught by the prophet trying to make plans to deal with the Mammon machine. I think we were there causing trouble. We were talking with the prince and the princess.
Surprise, surprise! We caused trouble.
Believe it or not, yeah. And his deal was basically that. Listen, I can either turn your ass in, or you can show me how you got here, and you can get the fuck out.
Get the fuck out.
Get the fuck out. Which, as we do, we got kicked out. We got the boot, as you do, and it's a bummer. It's the first time that we've been like almost forcibly removed from a timeline, and when that happens, he shuts it behind us, so we can't jump back in.
Yep, he seals the door.
Yeah.
So it's like, what the hell? What do we do now? You know?
So we're kind of left here in a lurch, and our big hint on what to do next is from the dude at the end of time, whose name escapes me, but I have it in the notes somewhere later, that he knows that somebody, and he named them, and their name escapes me. It's in the notes later again. Was making a time machine, and if we find this guy, we will be able to. Well, New is the robot that guy recorded his stuff on.
Balthazar, then.
Balthazar, that's it. Yes, Balthazar was making a time machine. We find him. We find his time machine. We'll have access back to the whatever time.
The
Whatever.
1200 BC.
Yeah, whatever that
Or
timeline
12,000
was.
BC. 12,000 BC, excuse me.
Exactly. So we're off. Also, we've learned through our last misadventure in 12,000 BC that the pendant we charged with the ability to open those doors, those like black grayish gunmetal-y doors that have like, I guess it's a Lavos symbol.
Oh, or the treasure chest.
Yeah, and we found a whole bunch of those doors and treasure chests throughout our gameplay up to this point. So now our goal is to get a time machine, bounce around opening those doors.
And treasure chests.
And treasure chests, yeah.
Yes. So
the first thing and there might be a clue that Balthazar is in 2300 AD, but I don't remember. I never found what the specific clue was pointing you there so much as I remembered that door. There was a big door there.
Well, I mean, I've been looking at I've had to walk through the whole way, so that's kind of helped my cause a little bit, and it tells me a little bit where to go and what to do and what to do next. The only thing is I don't like, occasionally I would get myself, I was afraid I'd get myself into deep into a situation. So that was my only concern. But ultimately, yes, you have to go to 23 AD, I believe it is, and talk to New there, and you'll find out some more information about how to help your cause a little bit and get back there.
Yeah, he specifically is in the Keeper's Dome.
Keeper's Dome, yep.
The Keeper's Dome, because there's multiple domes in that time frame. So.
Yep, like the Eris and the Tran, and they're rebuilding their lives because this is like post-apocalypse at this point. So.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't even say they're rebuilding as much as they're just surviving.
Well, like I said, apparently some people are starting to plant some seeds, I guess. So.
Oh, yeah, because we've started that. So, yeah.
Yep.
Either way, you go there, you talk to the new creature that Balthazar kind of recorded his messages on, and he basically leads you to the Wings of Time.
Or the Epoch.
Yes, that you name it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I don't even remember. I think I left it Epoch.
So did I.
But
for years I called it the Epic because a guy that when I was originally playing it swore up and down that it was pronounced Epic, and I was like, I think that's not actually. I don't think that's actually accurate, but okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's Epic because it would be.
It's not. I'm about 90% sure that it's not.
Because otherwise, why would they spell it EPOCH? They should just make it EPICH, or even not even H.
Oh, and we don't talk to we talk to the first New, and then there's a bunch of like shiny symbols as you're walking, like shiny things on the floor that have
shiny symbols.
They're not symbols; they're just like blinky things on the floor that you interact with for further thoughts on what Balthazar had before he.
Some of
lost his fucking mind. Yeah.
So, if you return to there, you can actually get a magic tab.
Yeah, and once you get the Wings of Time, you can travel back to 12,000 BC.
Yeah. They have a conniption. Did we just seal your ass off?
You would think. But first, you don't actually arrive in the same place you were sealed off or where you originally appeared.
Right,
you actually,
it can't fly yet, so.
Yeah. So you're kind of, when you jump through time, you arrive wherever the time machine is. It appears in that spot in time, in the next timeline, or time, whatever.
Period.
It doesn't
Yes.
move. Yeah, time period. So you're on the, so when you go to 12,000 BC, you're on the ground. You're nowhere
Yep.
near the transporter you used before. So you
Right.
have to go through the Terra Cave,
Yes.
which is nearby, and in there you find this like little village of the Earthbound ones, the non-magical people who live on the Earth's on the ground, and they have like this underground town called Algeti.
Algetty?
Algeti, yeah.
Wow.
It's not that it's important. I just think that's interesting that it's named. I never caught that it was named before.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
And you just kind of traverse through and get yourself acquainted, and you're trying to make your way back to Zeal. So
It's interesting interacting with these people because they
they're down about life a little bit here because they're the earthbound ones. They don't have any magic.
yeah, and it's interesting seeing the very clear the very clear separation between the magic users floating in the cities above that we bummed around in
Yep.
before, and they're living in their friggin' lives of luxury, and then there's all these
Mm-hmm.
people living on the ground,
Yep.
and this is a gajillion years before the apocalypse happens,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
they're
it's kind of
living
a
basically the same way. Even the
similar. Yeah.
sprites look similar.
Yep. Like it's a weird dystopia, I would say.
Yeah.
So, but you can buy some items, and but your
And
main focus is to get to Mount Woe here. So
exactly. On Mount Woe, if I remember correctly, this is where Melkor
yes,
went and got trapped.
Mm. Did he
He was
get
being
trapped here?
he was being punished or something like that for going against the queen.
Oh.
And we to climb Mount Woe, you need to work your way through this area. You end up facing a boss who is super forgettable.
Yeah,
It's,
we don't remember a damn thing about him.
based on what I researched, it was a mud imp and a red and blue beast. So like three
Right.
enemies. I literally didn't even know this was a boss. I thought it was a regular enemy that you faced, and only learned it was a boss later. So
Yeah, and it's just you just blow through it. It wasn't hardly anything.
the ascent to Mount Woe is pretty awesome because
Yep.
there are these chains, like gigantic chains connecting the floating the floating
Yep.
continents, floating lands, floating mountains, whatever they are, to
Right.
the earth.
Mhm.
And you climb those chains, basically, those massive chains. And if there's one thing I love in a fantasy story, it is gigantic, incomprehensibly
chains.
large chains. Yes, I don't know what it is, but there's like the sense of scale of something so familiar but so large. I find always fascinating. Like, I think you do something similar in one of the God of War games, Elden Ring at one point. I think you do that. I think Dark Souls 2, there's a point where you run across giant chains.
Well, in Final Fantasy VIII, you do it towards the end. I mean, you must have had a joygasm then.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't call it a joke. It's just a cool trope, you know.
Okay.
It's a neat trope that I like.
Okay. It's whatever to me. I mean, it's a novelty thing, is what it comes down to.
Oh sure,
Something
like
different.
it's a very distinct. It's just a very distinct thing for me to latch on that and be like, that's a neat thing that you occasionally see.
Mhm.
It's very strange. It's strange. There's an you don't see something like that in reality. I guess maybe ships. Ships have giant chains. Maybe, I don't know.
Anchors. Yep.
Anchor. Yeah,
Mhm.
but like either way, it's weird. It's a familiar but not quite. I like it when sense of scale is fucked up with.
Gotcha.
Fucked with. Kind of like Big World in Super Mario Brothers 3 World 4.
Oh.
When everything's really big.
Yeah, I don't know. People have always had a hard on for that world, and I've just never cared.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't think it's super cool?
Oh, I always thought World 5 was the cool one because it had all the clouds and everything.
Which one's the Water World? Is Water World 3? 3?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What's
Then
World?
Ice World is 6.
Okay, and what's World 5? World 5 is clouds,
Yeah, Sky World.
sky, and 7 is the one where it's kind of like.
It's Pipeland.
Is it? I thought pipe. Is there 8 or is 7 the
Yep.
last one?
Nope, there's
Okay.
8. Pipeland 7, and then Bowser's Land is 8.
Okay, yeah.
So
Which is the one that which level is it that you can get the boot in? There's like
5.
1 or 2 levels that you can get the boot.
5-3.
5 3s when you get the boot. That is
Mhm.
such a cool power.
Yeah, you just sit there and you just hover or hop along.
Hell yeah, slight non sequitur. My kids are obsessed with Mario games right now.
Say it ain't so.
And they're the right age for it. And
Yep.
when they're not watching YouTube videos of let's play videos of Mario games, I for a while there I was using the Nintendo Switch to play old Mario games. So like the 8-bit ones, like 1 through 3,
There you
Dr.
go.
Mario, and the 16-bit Super Mario Land.
Super Mario
and
World, I mean.
World. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, Super Mario Land is for the Game Boy.
It's Game Boy, yeah. And they loved it. They
Of
fucking
course.
but the weird thing is that they called them Lego Mario
Oh.
because of the pixels. Like they don't have a concept of what pixels are. So the nearest thing they could think of it was either Lego or Minecraft. So it's fascinating. But there's been a lot of Mario in my life.
Yay! That's a good thing.
It is. And recently I was able to get my hands on new Super Mario Brothers on the Switch, which is pretty cool.
Okay. Is it? I did get the new Super Mario Brothers. Like they re-released it in kind of a, or not re-released, but they started out in the Wii, and I have that game.
Is it? Yeah. This is like a newer version of that they originally was on the Wii U, and then they upgraded it and put it on the Switch.
Yeah, because it plays a lot like it has a
classic Mario.
Well, I don't want to say classic Mario because when I think classic Mario, I think Mario 1, okay, and the arcade games, okay. I think with new Super Mario, that is Mario 3, which is a little bit different in comparison.
Wow,
Though it does incorporate it for me. That's just my personal character or classification. Okay.
I kind of think of all the old 2D Marios as like classic Mario, and anything in that vein kind of feels nostalgic. Now there's new abilities, like you can bounce off the walls. You can do like it's like a Metroid style wall jump, which is super cool. And there's obviously new powers. But
because there's Paper Mario, and that's a little bit more 2D-ish.
But Paper Mario is an RPG. Paper Mario follows in the footsteps of Mario RPG. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And same with Mario and Luigi, the Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. On the Game Boy Advance.
Gotcha. Okay. But the one that little brother likes a lot is Mario 64. So
there is a upgrade on the Switch. They call it the expansion pack, which gives you access to Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, and N64 and Sega Genesis games. And if I were to get that, I would get access to all of the handheld Marios and Sonic the Hedgehog games.
Oh wow, Sonic too, huh?
Yeah,
that's intense. So anyways. We're way off topic now.
We are way off topic. I got on a Mario thing somehow, and I don't remember why, but it was awesome.
I don't remember like Mario. Yes. So
Giant Chains. Oh, we were talking about Giant Chains, and we talked about Big World from Mario 3.
Yeah. So yeah,
we're back to climbing Mount. Whoa.
Whoa. Yeah.
Oh. Whoa.
Whoa.
Whoa, dude.
Yeah.
Climbing Mount. Whoa.
Whoa. I was sticking from the Matrix. Whoa. But yeah, climbing Mount Whoa, you kind of puts around a little bit. And you come up against the Giga Gaia.
Yeah, and this
I think
guy,
he looks like something right out of Mega Man to me.
he does, and he looks big and intimidating, but he's not super hard.
No.
He's only notable because he has 3 different things you can attack.
Right. So, but yeah, he looks like something they just quite literally ripped right out of Mega Man. So
yeah, it's one of those things where it's like the center thing, the head is the part with the most health, and it won't get destroyed until you take that out. But the hands can heal it, so you got to take out the hands, and the hands can cast spells, and it's like you got to take out this thing in order to get the other. Yeah, it's not hard. It's just you got to do things in an order.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of moving parts. So
yeah, and after you take him out, you get to run into Melkor, which you can escape. And back at the village of the Earthbound people, you can meet up with Shayla and Janus, or Janus.
Janus, whatever.
And you're like, finally, the ball's rolling. Finally, we can start making some positive progress. Only for the king of the douches, Dalton, to show up.
Dalton! Dun, 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 dun.
Wow, way to give him a theme song. Yeah, he gives me the impression as the kind of guy who like would expect that. He would have a guy following around with a fucking boombox at all times, so that every time he enters a room, he could play his theme song, because he's got that kind of an ego.
It's like Monty Python style.
Yeah, everyone needs to stop what they're doing because I'm announcing my entrance. I am that self-important.
Yeah. Anyway.
And like a punk, he kidnaps Shayla and Janus.
What a punk. What a little bitch.
Yeah. So. He Melkor is basically like, well, fuck that guy.
Yeah, here's a knife. Go kick his ass.
Well, that's a bunch of bullshit. Here's a knife. You know what to do.
So now you're on a mission to take out Dalton.
The thing is like he should, like, you know what happens if they bring a knife.
You bring a gun. He sends one of yours to the hospital. You send one of his to the morgue. That's the way.
That's the Chicago way. Like, I feel like he was aiming low. Like, he could have handed us like something a little nastier than a knife. But he does say that this particular knife, the ruby knife,
will destroy the bad machine.
Yeah, and this particular knife, later we learn, will eventually become the Masamune in the future.
Oh, I thought we already had the Masamune.
You do, but we do, but this is like its earlier form in the timeline.
Okay.
So eventually, throughout history, it will be reforged into the Masamune later. Not by us, by somebody else through time.
We'll have Sephiroth's sword.
And then eventually, later, that weapon will end up in our hands. So anyway, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Time.
So we're chasing Dalton now.
Yeah, and you might not believe this, Jake, but eventually you go to Zeal to take out the Mammon machine, only to find that it's been moved.
Say it ain't so.
I know, it's the Ocean Palace. Like, who would do that? Like, what kind of douchebags would do that?
So then you get, Dalton's a douchebag, so he might be the kind. So you go to the Ocean Palace.
Exactly, because he shows up.
Like the punk bitch that he is.
I think, how did we get there? I think because he's there. He sees us.
Dust.
Yeah, I wish that would be super cool. Like, we show up, it's been moved, only Dalton shows up because he's a smarmy asshole. And he's like, thinks he's a bad boy, but he's really just bad in the not good at things way.
Yeah, I was gonna say, he's not even really that good at being bad.
He thinks he's bad, like Michael Jackson, but in fact he's bad, like Michael Jackson.
I don't know. I can't. I got nothing for that. You know, I don't. I mean, I'd like to make up a better comparison, but I really can't.
Yeah,
It just
exactly.
so.
He's bad. He's not He's not bad the song. He's bad the person. like Michael Jackson. So anyway, moving on. He's easy. We pound him and move on. He escapes, but the portal that he leaves, that he jumped through, stays open, so we can follow him.
What kind of douche leaves this portal open?
I don't know. Maybe he's bad at magic.
He's bad at everything else.
I mean, he's pretty terrible.
Mm-hmm.
This area does not stand out to me in any way other than there's a lot of eye enemies, and eye enemies always stand out to me in games because it's creepy, it's weird, and it makes me think of Castlevania.
I really don't. I have more issues with insect-based enemies more than anything. So.
You don't think eyes are weird?
No.
They're creepy.
I hate fighting spiders and beetles and shit. That creeps me out. That gives me the skeevies.
I mean, like, bugs I guess a giant bug would really fuck me up, you know?
Yeah. Because they got, 6 legs. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And then they usually have some sort of pincher involved, and it's like,
oh, yeah, and their mouths are all just like, bleh.
Yeah,
no, thank you. No, thank you.
That's a tall glass of nope. So.
It is, but, like, I feel like if I saw a giant bug, I would probably just die.
Well, you gonna go? You're just gonna fall over and die?
Oh no, I feel like it would just kill me. But if I saw a giant floating eyeball, I would just die of fright.
Oh, I mean, I'd sit there and look at it funny, be like, "What the fuck?"
I don't know. It would just be chilling. I don't know, otherworldly.
Because it's intensely vulnerable at that point. I mean,
that's true. Yeah.
Just saying. I mean, all you have to do is find something to throw at it, and it should just on the ground.
It's true. Yeah, that's true. Eye enemies in general across the board in every game should be extremely weak.
Yeah. I mean, what else are they gonna do to you? I mean, yeah, they might have hands and shit, but
they might aggressively blink at you.
Right. But if you take out the eye itself, it can't see. So, and if your projectile is deep enough, you'll kill it. So it doesn't really. The eye itself doesn't really have a whole lot of protection for it. So
good point. Listen, Jake, you're really thinking this through to a degree that my heebie-jeebies are unable to think through. Like, good for you. Glad you have the clarity of mind that I do not have.
Whereas bugs, they have like exoskeletons and all kinds of other like nasty shit, and pinchers and fucking venom and yeah, that's why I have a much bigger problem with bugs, like especially big ones, versus some goofy.
I feel like a larger, like I would also be confused by the scale because like an exoskeleton.
Mm-hmm.
There is a weight limit to an exoskeleton that what it can bear, and part of the reason why there aren't giant bugs is because the weight, like their skeletons cannot like after a certain size, they can no longer. They like collapse under their own weight.
That's an interesting concept I never really thought about.
If I understood, if I remember correctly,
or I wasn't aware of. I mean, I never really thought it that. I mean. Oddly enough, I thought, if it's just an eye, you just poke it in the eye and it's done. But,
I mean, have you not wondered why most of the, like, pretty much, like, everything that exists that has an exoskeleton is pretty small? Like, the biggest creatures that have exoskeletons are, like, crabs.
Well, and they're further south, yeah.
And
like,
the
cockroaches
lobsters
are pretty fucking huge. The big cockroach will scare the shit out of me.
Oh, I would also die of fright from dealing with a giant cockroach.
Yes.
And by giant, I mean, like, if I saw a cockroach the size of my foot, I would just be like, I'm done. I'm moving out of this house and I'm burning it down.
Well, and we're not even going to get into camel spiders. Holy shit.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. No.
I've seen one of those.
I know you have, and that's horrifying.
I
can't deal with that. I can't deal with that, Jake. I literally cannot deal with that.
That's a tall glass of nope. So, but anyways, Ocean Palace, eye enemies. You fight them just like any other enemy. There's nothing really magical about the
Nothing at all. They're literally only notable to me.
Yes,
because of what they are.
I think I found there might have been a little, depending on the layout of enemies, they were a little bit annoying just because you couldn't like just kill them in the first round of turns. I think some of them carried over to the second round. So
Okay.
But that's just a minor complaint. So I got to complain about something, and I haven't done so.
As you do. What about here? Eventually, as you're working through the Ocean Palace, you run into the Golem twins.
And they were largely forgettable.
This was the phase that you told me how to beat them before I
Right.
got to them. So, and
Right.
you specifically told me about how just use different magic attacks.
Yep. You have to rotate through them a little bit.
Yeah, because
And the best way to do it is if you equipped yourself in such a way that you could attack them, but it would heal you, would be beneficial.
Yeah. You would have to equip yourself with the kind of magic that you are attacking them with, but if you're rotating through your team's magic, there's no guarantee.
Yeah, there really isn't. But there was specifically like the fire and the water magic for them actually kind of sucks. So that kind of works in your favor.
Yeah.
So.
And physical attacks are worthless.
Yeah. So.
Dalton once again runs because that's what he does.
Like the little bitch that he is.
Yeah.
And you head down the hall. Woohoo!
That's right. Which puts us face to face with
the Mamma machine. You have to use the red knife and turn it into the Mazamian.
Is that what happens? Okay.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm seeing in the walkthrough here.
Okay, and then I know this leads to our confrontation with Lavos.
Ocean Palace Lavos.
Yeah, our first face-to-face meeting with Lavos, which goes great. It goes spectacular. Game over. We win. Except that actually doesn't happen, and we get fucking laid to rest. Just dropped.
Yeah, we were a flea. Okay, and we got flicked off, and they moved on.
Magus
it was not a pretty sight.
Reveals himself because they were the prophet in disguise. The prophet was their disguise, I should say, and they decide to take this opportunity to take on Lavos because they have been waiting for this chance to take on Lavos, only for them to also get dropped like nothing.
Yeah, just game over, man.
And then our boy Chrono has a heroic moment. You know?
And I quote zombie rule number 17: don't be a hero. And there's a reason for this, because guess what happens to Chrono? He gets vaporized.
Just in our version of the game, the modern releases, there's a anime sequence here where it's even set up like you think Chrono's going to do something heroic and save the day,
right?
And
no, he's just done.
Yeah, just dust.
He gets flicked. He gets flicked too, and it's like, oh, okay. Well, now what? Yeah,
and like he's literally dead. Yeah. Like he is no longer in your party after this point.
There's no Athenian waters that are going to help him.
Exactly. He is actually dead. The main playable character gone.
Gone. Game over. So
everything goes to shit. Zeal crashes to Earth. You escape with Shayla to the village of Earthbound people, and you're surviving players. The characters you were playing as are kind of like struggling to come to grips with what happened and losing Chrono.
Right, and they're like, now what?
Now, what happens next is our favorite douchebag Dalton jumps us
and steals your shit
and your ride.
The nerve of that fucker!
And I love how he does this too, because he shows up and he blasts you with a fireball thingy, and it just pings off you. Like it just bounces off and like doesn't do shit. And he's like, look behind you. And your characters are literally stupid enough to turn and show their backs. So he blasts them again and actually knocks them all out.
Yeah. Wow. Just wow. So, and then we arrive. We wake up in a prison.
Yeah, which we very quickly will learn is not just any prison.
It is the prison. The prison of all prisons.
Well, it's a flying prison, I should say. It's his
Oh,
ship, I guess. I
yeah.
don't know if it's supposed to be a prison ship or
I
it's
think it's
Dalton's ship. I'm not
isn't it the
sure.
Blackbird?
Yes.
Yes, it's the Blackbird.
When you escape, it's easier if you have Ayla in your party because she can just throw down right away.
Right.
She like fakes being dead and then throws down. Otherwise, you have to sneak through the vents.
Yeah. And grab your shit.
Yeah, you got to kind of like explore all the rooms, find your stuff. There's a puzzle here.
Mm-hmm.
That like I'm trying to remember what it is. There's like, who cares? It doesn't matter. Point is that like every area, there's some minor environmental puzzle, and this one took me a while to figure out.
Yeah,
Involving switches and running really fast because you have to like charge your character with some sort of electricity and then run from one space to another in order to unlock doors. But if you don't do it in the right way, it won't unlock, like, because your charge will run off.
I'm not sure I'm following you, but okay. I don't recall having to do something like that, but whatever.
Yeah. Okay, all right. I just remember doing this and really struggling because the controls.
Yeah, the controls were difficult, and the map was very, very, very similar, so it was hard to keep track of where you were in this particular area. So,
and for all I know, the thing I just described might be from a later scene in a different similar area. But there's numerous times in playing this that I learned the touch controls were not up to snuff.
Or more into that later.
Yeah, for like things you have to do really fast.
Yeah.
And precision.
Yes.
And we will definitely get to that later. Further. Hint, hint. Eventually you can get out on the wing. A big
steaming pile of foreshadowing.
The worst. The worst for you get out on the wing. I think it's the left wing of the ship, and you get out far enough out. There's no clear indicator that this is a spot that a boss is going to jump you, but you go far out on the wingtip, and this boss jumps you, and he's conveniently named the Golem boss.
And yeah, he's nothing. I mean, he doesn't really do anything. He has a ton of HP, but he's more, apparently he's more scared because he's sitting on top of a plane, which who fights on outside of a plane?
Right.
I mean, you would think that the laws of physics would come into play and blow you off the plane at that point, but it doesn't. So here we are.
The laws of physics don't apply. No, sir. What also doesn't apply is how he does it. He does one of those big scary countdowns.
Yep.
And when he finishes counting down, does nothing. It's literally just a joke fight with a boss that has a ton of HP.
So rip him an asshole and move on.
Which leads to another boss fight with Dalton. And
who's about as big a bitch as the previous boss, but whatever.
Exactly. I mean, well, the difference is that Golem boss appeared as though it was going to be a threat, but turned out to be a joke. Dalton, from the start, has been a fucking joke, and he continues to live up to that.
Yeah, he tries to fight back a little bit here, but it's whatever.
Nah, he ain't shit.
Yeah. He's like stated before, he's a little bitch.
And the fight starts with him flying around in the epic or the epoch. But see, that's where this friend fucked up fucked me up with this thing.
Epoch.
It's epoch. It is epoch. It is epoch. It is epoch. He modified it to have wings.
It's epoch.
It is. Yes, you're correct.
Okay. And which was nice. Which is the only nice thing Dalton's ever done for anybody in this entire game.
Right, so. And it was a really nice move and one that I respect, and it doesn't make me. It almost makes me forgive how fucking worthless he is.
But you take him on, you beat him, and now you get the epoch, and you can fly around like a badass. You'll also blow up the Blackbird. So
The Blackwing.
the Blackwing. Right?
It's the Blackbird. You accidentally started
Yeah.
calling it the Blackwing for a second. I was like, that's actually cool.
It's actually better than the Blackbird, but whatever.
I mean, that's what the X-Men's ship is named. Their jet, the Blackbird.
Blackbird, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So
yeah, well, now you do. So
yeah.
now fucking apologize for your heathen words.
No, I do not want. I will not apologize for my ignorance. I will continue my ignorance because that is the gimmick in the show.
That's true. That is. It's so fucking true.
So, yes.
Upon our return to the village, we get word of who we learn is Megas, just north of the village at like this little, I don't know, inlet. It's like a little jutting cove. I don't know. Just some place near the water, overlooking the water.
Right.
You approach Megas, and he's basically talk shit as he is wont to do, and you're basically given the choice to throw down with him and kill him, or walk away and just be like, no thanks, it ain't gonna solve shit.
Yep. And I'm trying to figure out the angle I went. I mean, I got him to. I went the same path to get him to join the party.
Yeah, and I think I think it would make a lot of sense for Frog to want to just like Frog is on a quest for vengeance.
Yep.
And I can see somebody wanting to be just like fucking do it. I think, however, it also makes a lot of sense for Frog, especially seeing what he has seen this guy go through, and just be like, this whole thing is sad, and like it ain't worth it. It's not going to bring back my dead friend. This guy is. We vengeance. Thought
he's not letting vengeance consume him.
Exactly. Like he saw what vengeance did to this guy, because he was there, at least in my playthrough, when Magus reveals himself and is basically like, I've been waiting my whole life to take your ass out, and just lose it. Like he sees this guy who has had vengeance take them over just get totally broken, and it's like,
who needs this?
What can I do to make your life worse? There's nothing I can do to make your life more worse than it, like bad than it already is now. Like you're already living your own hell. Like
vengeance has consumed him. I am done letting it consume me.
Yeah.
Sorry, Civil War.
Right, wise words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's why Civil War is like one of my favorite ones.
It's a good one. It's a really good one.
Yep.
If I was an educated person, right there, as I would say, I too am a big fan of the Civil War, and then I would quote Abraham Lincoln.
Right. We're talking Marvel here.
I know we are.
But says the guy that brought up the Blackbird from X-Men.
That is my hyperfixation, my friend.
Fair enough. So
the either way, don't fight him, and he joins you.
Yep. So that's what I did.
And that's what I do too, because he's my favorite. He's like my favorite character in this game. So because he's the sad emo gothy guy who would almost certainly shop at Hot Topic. So
yeah, you have to have him.
I have to.
And you have to use him too.
I have to. Yeah, I go through and I change the party alignment to where he is then the playable character, like the character that you control in the overworld, and when you're exploring.
Of course you did.
Of course I did.
Yeah. I didn't really see the whole rigmarole or the whole. I didn't take hold of the hype. I was just like, oh, great, another character. Maybe I'll use him for something, you know.
Mm-hmm. So that's what you should listen. In the hype is my hype. The hype is from me. It is not other hype. I like him in your party for a whole lot of obvious reasons, but also aesthetic ones. Like when he is running, he floats, and it's cool.
I mean, like, what the fuck's his face? Alucard?
Yes,
And
literally, it might as well be the same like pose.
yeah, between that
The like,
one and Vincent Valentine.
yes, the like leaning forward, like running pose, but you're just floating off the ground. Oh,
Right.
that gets me right in my heart.
Gives you the feels, huh?
It does, big feels.
Gotcha. Okay. So now you get mages, and you get to see, how the big players are really doing things.
Exactly, and he offers information that the man at the end of time, Gasper, may have info on how to resurrect Chrono.
Ooh. So we could get Chrono back.
Yeah. So, and around this time, I cut you off. I'm sorry, but we get clips of, as you were saying,
Of clips of Balthazar, Melkor, and Gasper, and how they end up where they do.
and how Janus ends up in the Middle Ages and what sets him up to become Magus.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Black Omen appears at this point.
Yeah, across time.
So, yeah.
Which is ominous. Which
Yes.
would make sense considering it's...
And it's an ugly fucking thing.
It really is. It is. It in like a badass evil villain lair sort of way, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I kind of like how this like evil force is almost like outside of time, and that across all timelines, periods of time, it exists now in this place.
Yep. And it doesn't move either. It's not like it changes location.
Yeah, it just floats there.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool as shit.
Very ominous.
I think I read somewhere that doesn't happen in every time.
No.
In the original release.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking the only one that doesn't show up in, I think it's 2300 AD. Because Lavos has already happened.
Yeah, like Lavos has already done what Lavos does then. That makes a ton of sense.
So it doesn't show up there, but it shows up in all the others. So.
At the end, you go to the end of time, and Gaspar offers you, when you ask him about the Chrono situation, he offers you what is called a time egg or a Chrono Trigger, which you can use to rewrite time. And he says that you should find Balthazar.
Okay. Find Balthazar.
He'll have more information on what you need to do. Which, as we know, Balthazar is the guy in
2300 AD.
Yeah. And if you do that, you'll learn at some point, either then or later, that you're going to need a clone of Chrono.
Yeah.
And I do not know how I learned this, and I probably just read it online or remembered from the first time I did it. But somehow you're directed that in order to get the clone of Chrono, you have to go to Beckler's lab at the Millennium Fair.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to do like the mimicking thing.
Yeah, it was kind of it took the learning curve was a little steep at first. But
and I found it only difficult because I did not I knew what gesture I had to do, but I did not know what the buttons did necessarily.
Right.
So it took time learning what the buttons were to correspond with the actions.
And that's what I was saying. That's why I said the learning curve was kind of steep there in that scenario.
And to make it extra nasty, that particular minigame requires
money.
It requires a secondary currency,
which is annoying.
That it only exists at the Millennium Fair, and so you have to do bullshit at the Millennium Fair to gain the currency to do this, and you have to do that a bunch in order to as many times as you need to in order to figure out what the controls are for this mini game, and
Right.
then execute. And it took me several times.
But apparently you can go on without Chrono. So
Yeah, you don't have to. This is like everything from this point on up until taking on Lavos is a side quest.
So, and there was a shit ton of side quests that we did.
Yeah.
I think that took us like almost a month.
Oh, at least.
Just
This
the side
particular one
quest alone.
is, and each one is kind of corresponds with a character. So like this one basically corresponds with Chrono because it's about bringing him back. And basically at the Keeper's Dome, Balthazar's info in the new tells you that like once you have the clone of Chrono, you got to climb Death's Peak.
There was that huge, massive, steaming pile of foreshadowing.
It's coming, and the new sends multiple little dudes to Death's Peak because they got to help you there. And the first part of this is that the wind is blowing, and part of the reason you could never access this area to begin with is because you would try to run up in the area and the wind would blow you out.
Yep.
Back to the map.
You have to fight the wind.
Polio dolls. That's what they were.
Oh yeah, polio dolls.
At least that's what I have in my notes. So I hope that's accurate.
The enemies are there are enemies, but they're kind of
yeah. So. The polio dolls help you get past the first area. And the enemies are like you just kind of went, except for one. What is that one enemy that's like a mini boss that is fucking
the spawn of Lavos?
Yeah, Lavos spawn.
And even he's not that difficult. Just attack his face and don't attack the body, and you'll be fine.
Exactly. And if you were stubborn and somewhat stupid.
Hi, Jake Lingholz.
Hi, Rachel Lukritz. Sometimes I feel like there's that episode. You remember that episode of Simpsons where Lisa is testing to see how like.
I haven't watched The Simpsons.
There's an episode where Lisa hooks up a cupcake to an electrical charge and leaves it in the kitchen, and Bart keeps trying to grab it and keeps getting shocked, and he never learns his lesson.
Okay.
And I feel like that is so relatable. Like he never changes his plan. He never learns his lesson. He's just like, ooh, cupcake. Ooh, cupcake. And then later Homer, the same thing. Like Homer does the same thing.
Poor predictable Bart always chooses rock. Good old rock. Nothing beats rock.
Exactly.
That's the only thing I remember about The Simpsons, and I only saw like that 10 minutes of that show, that particular episode.
How are we friends? I have not watched The Simpsons in over a decade, but I still have so much of the 90s Simpsons just permanently burned into my brain.
I used to have all up to back in 2015, I believe I had all of the Simpsons seasons up to season 21 or 2.
Yeah.
And then that's when that drive crashed and I lost it all.
Oh my god. Time to fire up the VPN and pirate all that shit back.
No.
I mean, open up Disney Plus and watch it there.
Yeah. So there's that. But yeah, anyways, so Lava Spawn's easy. And Rachel struggled incredulously over this whole Death Peak thing.
Oh no. All right. So the next area that the Pollo needed to be was there's this area where there is this horizontal bridge that's wiggly.
Yes.
That you're on the right side of. You need to go to the left side, and as you're crossing it's not even a bridge. It's just like an outcropping. It's like a rock bridge, a land bridge that crosses from one part of the area to another. But if the wind blows you off of it, you have to start the whole thing over, and it blows you like a couple screens away. So you have to fight a couple enemies to get back.
Yep.
I did this over 60 times.
I only did it like 10. It was
over
annoying, but
over 60 fucking times. I just dropped my glasses because I had to take them off so I could rub my forehead.
even now it bothers you.
It's just
Wow.
it really took a lot out of me. I spent of the time that the sessions that we played this game, I spent most of one session and then like a half hour of the session after that. Maybe it was
And
like 45 minutes of the session after that to finally do it.
yeah, so no, like this was actually one air. There's one. This is the one game that actually frustrated Rachel for once.
It
Out of
did.
all the games that we've encountered, where it was like he didn't or she didn't complain like I usually do. This was the area that she complained about.
Yeah, and it was and I don't want to say it's entirely on me and a lack of skill, although that's absolutely a part of it. I think
It's just the touchscreen. The
I
touchscreen
literally,
was
yeah, touchscreen controls just were not up to the task of
for
navigating this level of precision that you need
yes,
for this.
right.
And it made it unusually difficult. Like if I was using a controller, it would have been like 2 or 3 times. Like it
Yeah,
wouldn't have been shit.
exactly. hmm But with the touchscreen, it made things very very painful.
And like I don't know if that's an age thing or just a lack of familiarity with touchscreens. Like I don't know if somebody who like did most of their gaming with a touchscreen would have any trouble. Like I can't say. I can only say from my experience as somebody who is gamed using a controller for most of their gaming life that sometimes I struggle with that sort of thing. And I've definitely played quite a few games with a touchscreen, like Tactics before this. I've
hmm
done KOTOR. I played through the last time on a touchscreen.
Well, the big
So
thing for me, because I exploited kind of a glitch that was occurring where you could face one way but walk another in a sense, and that's how I kind of got through that area. Um, I can't remember if I was facing up and then moving sideways, or if I was facing sideways and moving up to kind of combat the situation.
and I
But
was
that's
definitely trying. I just
yeah, but that was how I got through it.
yeah,
I felt like I was taking advantage of the touchscreen in a glitchy kind of way. So or
maybe. I don't know.
bug. So
I think that's just how the controls work, and you just worked it really effectively, whereas I
mhm,
didn't. And there's a couple times I got really close, but just didn't
mhm,
quite get there. So, luck of the draw
mhm.
to some extent.
Yeah, a little bit.
Either
So
way, it sucked and I got there. But once you get past,
mhm,
you're able to get to the summit, and there is a like this pretty cool scene where there is a weird time event where like
mhm.
it's not like an eclipse, but like
I thought that's what they said it was. Maybe I'm wrong.
was it an eclipse?
I wonder if it was. I
Something
thought I
like that
remember.
happens, and then you are sent back to the moment before Chrono is killed. But
hmm
time is
hmm
frozen, and so you're able to swap his body with the clone doll thingy.
Right.
And then the clone doll thingy is what gets like
It's
vaporized,
destroyed. Yep.
and you go back to the present with the live Chrono.
Yep. And so now you got Chrono back. Woohoo!
Yeah, hell yeah. And that's pretty rad,
hmm
I think. And now it is side quest time.
hmm
The easiest side quest to do is the chests, like going through
Yeah.
time and collecting all the chests. But there's a trick to them, isn't there, Jake?
Yep. So you always want to the typical rule of thumb is you touch the chest, do not open it, but you touch the chest at an earlier point in time, and then you go later in time to open that chest. That's just and then once you've done that, you can actually go back to the original time from when you touched it and open it then, and now you have dual items. So
And this works because if you touch the chest in the past, it like activates the chest, And then when you go into the future and you open it, you get an upgraded item.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas then you can go back to the past and you'll get what it originally would have been at that time, which is a slightly weaker but still awesome item.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I went and did a lot of these sealed chest things. Rachel, it was very bloodthirsty, and he felt like she needed to fuck something up. So you went about and started taking people down.
I did a little bit of both, because I was not mentally in a situation where I wanted to jump right back in and do quest stuff after getting through with Death's Peak. So just running around and opening chests was a more pleasant way of spending my time initially at this point.
So, but I thought you went for Ozzy right away.
Of the side quests, character-specific ones, yes, I did. You get a whole bunch of hints of there are things to do when you talk to Gaspar. And he gives you these really cool quotes that, like, you know what, I'm going to...
Well, actually, I think you get... Is it from Gaspar or is it from the characters at the end of time?
Yeah, that is the character at the end of time.
No. I'm talking about the hints themselves. I thought they came from the... I thought there was one... It was like a two-part thing where Gaspar would say one and then the character would say the other. But maybe I could be talking out of my ass. Because, ignorance, so...
You might be. He has a really cool, like, he basically gives you hints on all of these things, and, like, I can't remember.
Senility, it's a bitch.
It is. I was hoping to see if I could find a quote, but I can't. Oh well, either way.
Right.
You get to go take on and I think this one is like a really obvious one, but like it's basically like fucking fuck up Ozzy, right? Ozzy is a hanging thread that is haunting you throughout this game. Like, and I feel like
I don't necessarily agree, but okay.
It's one of those things, like I did not feel like the book was closed entirely in dealing with that green piece of shit. So
you had to close that door, huh?
I did. And so I went to 1000 AD, where you can find Ozzy's fort. And there's hints to it when you like go to a nearby village, just talking about shit and blah 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 blah. This, like all side quests in these games, there's characters in a timeline that talk about something that hint you to go to a place, and that's where something is. And that's the case here. In Ozzy's fort, you basically proceed to go through it, and you fight Flea and Slash at different intervals.
Yep.
Which is cool, and then you get to fight Flea, Slash, and Ozzy as a group.
Yep.
And none of those fights are particularly hard, especially at this point if you've leveled up as much as you should have to progress past the previous bosses we've already fought. But they were especially not.
I didn't start taking these guys on until I got the rainbow shell. So
so they were a joke at that point.
Yeah, exactly. So. But.
I just saw one of the notes that you added below here. So a little bit of insight into us. At some point when we made the notes for this section, we started quoting Adam Sandler movies. And he ends up ending that sequence with the line from Bulletproof, which just Disneyland. Out of context, that would not make
sense.
If you've seen the movie, you understand why that's funny.
Right. Well, I got piss on me. My piss on you's even worse. I about had half a beer, but the dog had a lot.
So when we were younger, there was a handful of movies that we rented a lot from the video store, and that was one of them.
Yeah.
So but we ended up seeing Bulletproof a lot, and I don't know why, but it was one that always worked for us. We were like, what are we gonna watch? I don't know. Let's watch this.
Right, that one and Can't Hardly Wait.
That one and Can't Hardly Wait.
Yeah.
So either way, when you
are you too good for your home?
Are you too good for your home? Why don't you go back to your home?
Answer me! Suck my white ass ball. Yeah, I watched that shit too many times.
Yeah. Oh, Doyle rules.
Oh God. Oh, Doyle, I think your whole family's gonna go down. No yelling on the bus.
I think that Mortal Kombat is the best game. Mortal Kombat's a really good game.
Yeah, I respectfully disagree. Donkey Kong is the best game. Donkey Kong sucks.
No, you suck.
You ain't cool unless you pee your pants.
We gotta stop.
We gotta.
I cannot just stay here and talk, Adam. Otherwise, I'm gonna start getting into his albums.
While Rachel was fucking up Ozzy,
also it's worth it because once you finally take out Ozzy, and he's nothing special, you'll find Magus's best gear.
Yep.
I mean, it's called the Gloom Armor and the Death Scythe. Like, it's so cool. How is that not the coolest? The answer is it is the coolest. That's why. Yeah. You know it. I know it. We all know it.
Well, I mean, I didn't use him, even though I had all that shit. I still didn't use him.
That's fair. That's why I'm a winner.
And I'm a loser.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's fair. So towards the end of him getting Rachel getting the Gloom Armor and the Death Sickle, that's when I went and started working on the quest for the Sunstone, which was I thought was really cool. Because you have to do a lot with time in it. And,
for sure.
And with the exception of the chess and that, the whole touching and then going forward in time and then coming back, there's not really like something that is very like time specific.
There's definitely I think in a lot of these there's jumping through time,
right? But there's nothing that you're following like a particular situation all the way through. Okay, aside from Lavos. Okay, so that's why the quest for the Sunstone was particularly interesting to me, because you go to the Sun Palace in 23 AD and you fight the Sun Boss, which was kind of an interesting fight, a little bit. Kept you on your toes because he tries to kick your ass with fire, but if you have fire defense, you can come into that with that negated. It's more trying to find, because there's was it 6? I think there's 6 little fire things that surround him. And you have to find the one that's actually relevant, I guess, if you will. So, but once you do that, then that's the one that really, hits and can take some. He takes damage, and you don't necessarily straight up kill him, but you do defeat him, and he'll retreat further into the palace, and you kind of go through and chase him. And you'll find that he turns into the Moonstone, and one of the characters, specifically, I think it's Robo, that steps forward and says it'll take 65 million years and 65 million in some very short amount of years to charge up that Sunstone again. And so you've got the ability to travel through time, so you take it and you go back to Ayla's time and drop it in the Sun Palace, and then you move back forward again, only to find that it's not there, and you're like, "What the fuck?" So eventually you find out. I don't remember how we find out that it's been lost in time, that you got to go through a little bit. So,
I mean, the one with Frog requires a lot of going through back and forth through time.
a little bit, but yeah. So, anyways, you keep going through it, and you find out that you got to be at what I think it's. You find out it's at 1000 AD that you got to go back to, and you end up actually changing time a little bit in this process by teaching some asshole a fucking lesson about not being so damn greedy.
Yeah, that was good.
And because his ancestor, pushes the lessons through time, so when you confront him a second time, you'll find that he returned. Well, you get the Sunstone, or he tells you where it's at. I can't remember which one. I think he gives it to you, and then you place it back into the Sunstone and press back to 2300 AD, where it's actually fully charged. And now you get you can turn it. It'll be turned into the Sunshades and the Wonder Shot. So, which is Luca's ultimate weapon, which am really cool. And the Sunshades are pretty cool too. They actually, I believe that one's like it's an accessory that powers up, gives you better physical attacks, I believe. So
I think so. Yeah.
But yeah, so that was I found that one kind of cool, just because it wasn't necessarily like annoying or trying. It was just it just was a little bit more cerebral about its process. So
yeah, I support that.
Yeah. But so what's next?
What's next is I pulled up some of the quotes because I think the quotes are good. They're like the hints. The Sunstone one was, and there's a very special stone that can shine its light on each generation from the distant past to the future.
Ooh.
A fugitive in the Middle Ages, Ozzy maintains an evil hideout.
Give me a break.
And there's the ghost of a lofty knight slain by Magus in the Middle Ages who haunts the present.
What is it?
It is. So
yeah,
in the ruins near Chorus, there's a giant ghostly knight whom, when you get into battle with, you can't hurt them, but eventually the fight ends. They can fuck you up. And during the fight, Frog recognizes them as Cyrus.
Oh.
So to solve this one, without getting too far into detail, you basically end up jumping back and forth through time. Like you got to get
help this fucking carpenter fix up the place.
Yeah, at one point, like he lost his tools, and so you got to go and get tools for him, and then you got to go get him to go in there. But then there's monsters. They got as far as they can, but then there's monsters, and so you got to go kill the monsters, and you send him in again, and then they find monsters again, and blah 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 blah.
It goes back and forth quite a bit, and
a couple times.
Yep.
And then eventually, in this time, you will find Cyrus's grave inside the ruins, and you'll have a nice heartwarming flashback involving Frog and Cyrus, and Frog getting some closure, and the Masamune gets powered up.
Ooh, so now that's Frog's ultimate weapon at this point.
Now it's his ultimate weapon, yes.
Yeah.
So combine that shit with the hero's badge thingy, which gives him upped crits with the Masamune, and he becomes pretty nasty.
He's nasty, huh? He's a nasty boy, huh?
Yeah, he's Frog if you're nasty.
Wow. Disneyland.
I guess. Well, would he be Frog? He's Frog Glenn if you're nasty. There you go. Yeah.
He's Frog if you're going in nasty.
Oh my God. Move on.
That was my takeaway from that, but
If you're going in nasty.
that's what it sounded like you said.
In the Middle Ages, a woman's sheer determination brings a forest back to life.
Yeah, I didn't help that bitch. Fuck her.
You didn't?
Nope.
You missed one of the coolest scenes in this entire game.
Yep, I miss a lot of things.
Basically, the long and the short of this one is,
I'm short, so I miss a lot of other things that, when it's a parade that goes by, I miss a lot of the parade because I can't see anything, or the concert, I don't get to see a whole lot. So, yeah, I miss a lot.
Well, the height is a problem. You should wear stilts. I mean, the long and the short of this is that there's some woman who wants to plant shit, and
that sounds kind of stinky.
In a forest in 600 AD because there's a desert, but there's like a whirlpool in there, and you have to go in the whirlpool, kill all the monsters, fight a boss. The Ret Knight is in there. You beat it up. It's like that big skeleton monster that you fought at the end of the bridge that Ozzy summoned when you're first helping the knights.
He's a bit more badass, I'm guessing.
A bit, not that big of a deal, especially at this point. Unfortunately, it's not enough to like fix the desert there. And
what the fuck's the point then?
Well, you go back and you talk to Fiona with Robo in your party, and Robo will agree to stay behind and help her replant the forest. Because the problem is that she just can't do it herself. So you leave Robo there, and you go to 1000 AD. Mm-hmm. So 600 years into the future, and it's been
400 years, but okay.
Well, if you're at 400...
You're at 600 already.
Yeah. You're right. You know what I don't do? Math. I do cool things, like to make things pretty. I don't do math.
You don't math?
I can't math, okay? Why do you gotta get on my ass?
Well, Fuck you. I mean, I don't try to, but some guys are attracted to that sort of thing. So,
Oh my God.
You're the one that said it. Why do you got to get on my ass?
That's true. Good point. I set that up. I fucking bent over and really.
Yep. Yeah. You just served that some bitch up. I had to hit it.
Oh my God. All right. Gonna put pause on that one.
Yeah. Well, definitely.
We're pausing that, and we're gonna move ahead. Just back like Chrono and the team do to go to the future to pick up Robo again, where you find that the forest has been replanted. And during this time, you also get this scene where the party is like camping out.
Uh-huh.
And they're hanging out around the campfire.
Oh, nice.
And just chilling. And it's a cool moment. Uh-huh. And you get to control Luca when they all go to sleep and kind of explore off. And she finds
I don't know. I don't know nothing. I didn't do this side quest, so this is all you.
Oh, okay. Well, essentially, Robo brings up the possibility that Lavos doesn't actually have anything to do with the portals, and that something else did it, wanting them to witness everything. That they were fated to see this by some other entity.
Interesting.
Yeah. And at this point, like Luke, you could control Luca. She wanders away. She finds a portal that she goes back in time to a part of her time that in the past that she regretted, which has to do with her mom being crippled by an accident and her personal issues with that.
Oh, wow.
And it's really cool, and it's a real emotional thing.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. And when you get back, Robo's waiting for you.
Like a boss.
Like a boss, but not like a boss that you fight, like a good dude kind of boss. Yeah. So it's a good scene. It's a really good one. Did you do the there's an object in the Middle Ages that sparkles like rainbow?
Yeah, I did the rainbow shell.
Okay.
That was the one that nerfed a lot of the game.
To some degree, yeah. This one is pretty simple. This one involves going to not Luca, Marley's.
Yep, it has all the
thing, right?
has everything. Yep, this is all Marley.
Yeah.
Because you start on Chorus, and you start looking for the rainbow shell, and they point you to the giant claw to the northwest, and which was kind of tough for me to find at first.
Oh yeah. Okay.
It was a little bit, and then you end up going through.
Oh wait, this involves like there's like a guy who's looking for the rainbow shell, and if you don't find him, like he's basically like, I'm gonna find the rainbow shell, and if you don't, pour some of my favorite pop soda on my grave. And so you go in the future, and he
you do that. Yep. And
but he didn't. It sounds like he didn't find it, but then like his ghost or something points you
to the giant claw.
To the right direction.
Yep. And so you keep kind of progressing until you get to the point where you're in Tyranno's lair. But this is like you're in the future now, and which kind of threw me off. Like I said, the process of finding that claw was kind of painful for me at first. But once I found it, then it's just another dungeon that you kind of progress through. There's some items in there like the Zodiac cape, which is kind of cool.
Oh wait, because this is the ruins of the Tyranno lair.
Yep.
That's right. Yeah.
And the Tyranno is much bigger. It's much bigger and badder than the previous one that you fought. Because he has like a lot more HP. Is one of the big things. So
yeah, I think that's the only difference. Like the same strategy still applies.
Yes. But it's definitely he's no joke. So
Sure.
You want to come into this. It's not like you're fighting Dalton. So.
But really, what is, unless you're facing like a regular overworld enemy?
Right. So it took some time to take him down, and he's definitely kind of tough. So you don't want to fuck around too much with him. And then after him, you find the rainbow shell, but it's too heavy for the party to carry.
That's right. And so you have the King of Guardia to watch over it, like keep it in the castle as a family heirloom. And this
some drama here.
And this is where it gets weird, because like you put Marley in the party and you go back to Guardia Castle, and there's a trial going on because the king is accused of selling off royal treasures.
Yeah.
And he's like, I literally have no fucking idea what you're talking about, because somehow like even though you've rewritten time now to where the rainbow shell is literally in the fucking castle, like
right, you find it.
Yeah, like Marley and the king have no fucking idea. Like they had no idea. So you have to like find it in the castle and be like, motherfucker, it's right here.
Right. And then you show it up, and then like that, and I think that same asshole,
the Chancellor.
Yeah, the Chancellor is like, it comes into play. He's like, stop messing up my world or my plan
revenge.
Here. Yeah.
And transforms into a monster because it's not really the Chancellor. It's
and
Yakra.
It wasn't easy. Yeah, Yakra wasn't easy by any means, but I mean, it took a little bit to take him down. So, again, not a pushover like Dalton, but you know.
No, yeah.
And he was, I would argue, he's probably just as tough as the Tyranno. So.
Oh yeah, he was not that hard up until the very end when he nearly took me out with his last his death attack. Like when he dies, he has one of those big like attack everyone sort of things that fucked my shit up.
Yeah, he does needle spin on all the characters. So, but yeah, so you get into that and everything, and then all things become revealed, and you can explore the castle, and you pick up a Yakra key, which allows you to unlock a couple of chests, which and also allows you to free the real Chancellor. So, and then if you head down to the basement treasury, you'll find the rainbow shell, and Melkor's willing to work with you and make some armor from it. So, you could do the prism dress or prism helms, and then you have a choice of those two, I believe. And then you can get the prism specs, which is like even better than the sunshades from, I think, if I remember right.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and then, but the big thing, the reason why you went through all of this was to get Chrono's ultimate weapon, which was the rainbow sword.
If you used Chrono, which I didn't, so
yeah, and he wrecked shit. So
I'm sure Chrono's the best all around character in the game, so that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, with the when given the rainbow sword, yeah, he really wrecked shit. So, I think, but thinking about it, I think I went with the prism dress. So, which was very helpful. So,
I took the prism dress.
Mm-hmm.
And the prism specs, yeah.
And then at this, go ahead.
There's also, I thought there was one more.
I think there's Robo's Quest, isn't there?
Oh yeah, the Robo's Quest, which is pretty.
And
awesome.
I didn't give a tinker's damn about Robo, so.
Aw, okay. Well, this one you basically just end up going to the future and finding Robo has like a girlfriend.
Oh, nice.
But they're like Atropos XR, and she's gone kind of fucking crazy, and they've basically planned to destroy humanity.
Ooh.
She's being controlled by like the main computer system that like built her and Robo, and it's kind of this long story short, like Robo rebels. He's like, I'm not gonna fucking play along with this shit. Like, no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Marley saved his fucking life. Why wouldn't he? Of course he's not going to play along.
Yeah.
So, interesting.
Yeah, so it's still a good one. It's worth doing for, like, because I think Robo's a cool character, even if I don't really use him very much in this particular playthrough. And it's good emotional impact seeing that character be like, what the fuck? No. I'm not going to turn on my friends.
Right.
Which we kind of had a little bit of before. It's kind of a continuation of what we got with him the previous time we ran into the like other AI machinery, like machinery that is capable of communication and stuff. So.
So, well, I think we should call it for right now.
I agree. It's like, Jake.
Yes.
The next episode, like we plan to finish everything this episode, but we're not going to right now just because it's late in the recording, and I don't want to make people wait for this episode. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and give this to you people who are listening right now, and the next episode we're going to finish up the game and we're going to talk about all of the endings and overall thoughts on Chrono Trigger. So
yes.
Yeah, so no big deal. It's going to be a good time. Should be a quick, snappy episode, and start talking about our next game after that, which, hint, might have the word remake in it.
Ooh.
So anyway, fuckers, if you want to reach out to us at Damn Chocobo, how would you tell people to go about that, Jacob?
Email us at damnchocobo@gmail.com.
Or at Damn Chocobo on one of the various social media sites.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, woohoo!
Yeah. Nice to be back.
Yes.
Not that we were really gone for real, but
Right.
you know how it is.
Apologies. Mea culpas here.
You should apologize.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
How dare you? How dare you?
Yeah. So, we did not go on an hiatus. We just got wrapped up in things. So.
Oh, for real. You know, you all know we're old. We're old. Life gets in the way. Shit happens.
Civility. It's a bitch.
It is. And until next time, why don't you all fuck off?
Fuck off.
She will wait from you. All the secrets you keep locked away in sadness, and she will play with the pathways of the mind, stumble blindly into madness. Her eyes are filled with the weight of mountains. Desire splurging from a sacred fountain. Regard is an inclination, I beg incineration.
Jacob, do you have any dedications you want to end this fucker with? It's been a while.
Let's see with the Dalton. He was a bitch.
That's a good one. That is one of the best, most deserved dedications ever deserved in the history of the show.
Well, I don't know about that's pretty heavy-handed. There were some well-deserving ones throughout the rest of the show. I don't know if it's but it's up
Top
there.
10. He's a top 10 dedication.
Yeah,
Of deserved dedications. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. So because there's some out there that were just like, what the fuck, you know? Yes, you are a douchebag.
Huge.
I mean, come on, Seymour. You know.
For real.
Duckface Seymour. I mean, come on.
He deserves an award, Duckface Seymour.
So, but yeah, Mr. Dalton, the douchebag.
Mr. Dalton, got perfect.
Yes.
Well then, until next time, Jake. It's been lovely recording with you again.
Yeah, likewise.
Okay, and looking forward to recording the finale.
Yes.
Blah, 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 blah. Finale of
There
our
we
Chrono
go.
Trigger coverage.
Yes.
Until next time, you take
Yep.
care.
You too.
Bye, Jake.